If your company has bad debt, consider assigning your accounts to Merticon, MERTICON.com. Merticon, global leader in collections. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell and be notified to all our future videos. Welcome everyone to the show. Well, today is, I don't know if it's going to be a long video or if it's not. I know I put some Dapper Dan in my hair. You know, too much, you look like a pervert. Too little, you look Persian. So, anyway, nothing like self-deprecating humor. But I was thinking today, and I was watching the news. Excuse me for that. And I haven't even drank any milk. Well, you know not to do that before you're fixing to do any kind of podcast. But hey, what can I say? Anyway, what I was saying is I wanted to touch base on what I believe is going to be a really terrible thing to happen to this country if Joe Biden gets it passed, and that's the federal red flag laws. And essentially what the premise is if you find somebody, or let me say this, your neighbor, your family members, or your doctor decides that you are a threat to someone or yourself, they can essentially issue what's essentially an ex parte order from the court seizing your firearms. These happen, folks, when, let's just say you're going to have a restraining order. You can get an ex parte hearing with the judge, get a restraining order against someone, and then later go to court to determine whether or not the restraining order is valid and it's warranted. It's an emergency type of mechanism. And they're trying to incorporate this type of mechanism in with firearms, okay? That's not a good thing. One, because you have a constitutional right to bear arms. This shouldn't be taken lightly. You have a constitutional, that'd be like them coming to your house and saying, you've talked too damn much on Twitter. Here's the duct tape, hold still. You can't speak for 48 hours until you see the judge. That's the equivalent, people. This is a slippery slope. You take one right away, and they've done this shit over the years, and I've said it for years. They're going to take your rights away one little chip at a time, and then they're going to tell you that it is in the name of safety is the reason they're doing it. You know, I've enforced these over the years, assisted in enforcing some of these orders like that. And the difference is when you look at a restraining order, all it says is you don't go here and you refrain from doing this activity. It takes nothing away. That's the difference. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to incorporate that same ex parte, and basically all that means is one-on-one with the judge without the opposing side. You've got it's kind of a limited hearing to where, yeah, this guy said this, that, and the other. In an emergency situation, the judge says, okay, I'll grant the restraining order. Then there's a hearing set, and then he can tell his side. Well, there's nothing been taken away in that. I understand that, and I understand that helps a lot with basically crazy-ass people. But the problem in a free society is that you have rights. These are not fluid rights. You have rights. You have in stone rights. You have rights to bear arms. And for someone to take that away from you, there has to be due process. Period. It doesn't matter. Now, if you want to go to court and say, Judge, my neighbor over there, nutty as shit. Okay? Hangs out in his backyard with an armadillo head on and underwear. Sorry, Dukes of Hazzard remake. So my point being is, And then you go to court, you drag his crazy ass into court and let him defend himself. And then if the judge decides that, he's mental, well, then there's a mechanism that you can take his firearms away. You can do that. You can institutionalize his ass. But folks, you can't take away someone's constitutional rights ex parte. And that's essentially what they're doing with it. Now I'm gonna tell you something, and not like I said, I've said it 1,000 times. I used to be a cop a long time ago, 20-something years ago. Wouldn't do it today if my life depended on it because, well, anyway, I just wouldn't. The fact is I don't know where the hell they get these guys, but it just is beyond me. I tell you this, I wouldn't carry a taser. Wouldn't need it. So anyway, but you don't want to take people's constitutional rights away from them. And I tell cops this all the time. You won't always be wearing that badge. You won't always have the authority and the power that you do. You can tell someone that has no business being in law enforcement by the way they acted before they became a cop and by the way they act after they became a cop. I can honestly say that because of my upbringing and I worked at a damn convenience store for years in like the worst parts of town. When I became a cop, my attitude didn't change. My belief in our Constitution didn't change. I don't agree with everything cops do. I think some of them are dipshits that couldn't find their ass in a paper bag. But I also think there's some good cops out there. You know, I think there's some really good cops out there that really try to do the right thing. But the right thing in this situation here is these red flag laws should never be implemented. And at the very least, they should be challenged. And the Supreme Court needs to weigh in on it because this is dangerous. Dangerous. What if you have an ex-girlfriend? We've all had them. And there is nothing more horrific than a woman scorned. Now, I know the Me Too movement says believe them all. Yeah, no. No, you don't believe all women, just like you don't believe all men. I said this before. I think most people lie. I do. I think most people exaggerate, lie, don't tell the truth. You know? It's kind of like they're addicted to, I don't know, bullshit. As a former drinker, ask somebody, well, how much do you drink a day? Well, I don't have a problem. I drink about, I drink 8 beers a night, something like that. Times that by 2. If they tell you they drink 8 beers, they drank 16. And then that's just probably it. They're embarrassed, of course. Any drunk that's ever been drank for any long period of time knows that you feel like shit the next day because you acted like a dumbass. My point being is this: most people lie and exaggerate. So what happens if you get this ex-girlfriend that catches you with, I don't know, somebody else you're dating? She don't want you, but she don't want anybody else to have you too. So she comes up with all this crazy shit that she wants to tell people. So she goes to the courts and says, hey, he's crazy. He threatened me with a gun. They issue a red flag firearms seizure order or whatever they want to call it. And they take your firearms away. You've lost your constitutionally protected rights. All for what? And then you find out later that she lied. Okay, or is she going to go to jail? Is it going to be a felony if she lies? And are you going to plead it out to where she does no time and just parole? No, of course not. How many times you've ever seen anybody arrested for filing a false police report? How many times have you ever seen them go to prison for it? Not a lot. They plead that shit down because they don't want it on their docket or their caseload. And it's not the cops. It's, a lot of times it's the DA. There's a lot of moving parts in this. A lot of moving parts. And a lot of people don't realize what the moving parts are. But I'm going to tell you, you do not want these laws. And they're unconstitutional. They're going to get overturned. There's no way they can survive the scrutiny of the Supreme Court, even the Court of Appeals, depending on which one. Depending on which red flag laws and which state enacts it. But if they get a federal red flag law, then that means this. Now, I want you to think about something for a second. We've all trolled on Twitter and Facebook, and we've said shit like, oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You get on Twitter or Facebook, and you say something just as benign as, that's why we have a Second Amendment right, because of a tyrannical government. Say that under the red flag law. They'll go to some liberal-ass district court judge, and the FBI will show up at your fucking house, and they'll take all your weapons because you're a threat to the government, or you're a threat to yourself. Mostly yourself. They'll do it in the name of safety for yourself, most likely. And you ask yourself the question is, well, how can they do that? Well, you have a constitutional right, people, to keep and bear arms. And the Second Amendment is designed as a mechanism for a tyrannical government. That's what it's designed for. I'm not saying it'll ever be used. I'm saying that's what it's designed for. And keep in mind, when they ratified this amendment in our Constitution, they did this at a time when the government and the people were equally armed. I'm not saying you need an Abrams tank parked in your driveway, even if you could afford it. I'm just saying that that's the mentality of our forefathers. They did not want this shit happening again, the things that were happening to them under Brit rule. So that's the reason. I'm telling you the mechanism. But so you'd have to really watch what you say on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, Because my point is this: if you value the Constitution, you don't want these red flag laws. There's already laws in place that will keep crazy ass people from having guns or killing themselves. But it's too difficult. Well, we don't want to get the proof. We want the results, but we don't want to put the effort in to get the results. Basically, it's the same premise of, I'd like to grow a acre of squash because I like squash, but I'm not going out there and plowing that field. I'll just go over and take it from my neighbor. That's the whole premise of it. They don't want to put in the work that it takes to find somebody mentally incompetent, and it's a lot of work to do that, because I don't give a damn who you are. You can get conflicting psychological evaluations. You don't have to go the way they're doing things today and the woke movement and all the revamp of psychology, there's no telling what you will end up with. Things that were considered a mental disorder are now considered the norm. Where we used to talk about science, we don't anymore. I'm just saying, you don't want somebody being able to go and take your and it'll be okay for liberals until they start coming for you. And that's right. That when they start coming for you too, that's when you're going to have a problem. You wait till the first famous person that gets popped with a weapon that they shouldn't have because they made a statement that I just can't cope or some shit like that, and one of their woke friends turns their ass in and the police show up at their mansion and take all their fucking guns that nobody knew they had. Then that's when it'll happen. Folks, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be evaluated. They should. There are crazy ass people out there that shouldn't carry firearms. But let me just run this down at the end. Hopefully you watched it until then. For one, you have to have an identification and a background check before you can buy a weapon or a gun, even at a gun show. unless it's being sold by a private individual. If you are a firearms dealer at a gun show, you have to run background checks. You can't lie on those forms. If you lie on those forms, it's a felony. You cannot purchase a firearms in a gun store without a background check. Now, the thing about me, since I carry a firearms permit, which I don't know why I need permission, they ought to call it a license like Florida does. Anyway, you have a permit to carry that weapon that's reciprocal in a lot of other different states for a concealed weapons permit. It's an instant background check. So you can just show your permit a lot of times, fill out the paperwork, and bam, you're good to go. Because you have to get it renewed every 4 years. And my fingerprints never change, but I have to get a fucking fingerprint card every single time. If you did that because at voting booths, oh, the left would be woke on that. But I have to get fingerprinted every single time that I renew my firearms permit. And I'm an ex-cop. They wouldn't even give me the enhanced version. Because I didn't, my last certification for as firearms, and I say certification, not that I don't go and shoot. I'm saying that my last official certification was a long time ago. And so, which I don't want the enhanced. I could give a damn less about carrying it at the courthouse, because the reason I could care less is because even if you can carry it inside the courthouse, there are certain places you can't carry it. You can't carry it in the sheriff's office. You can't carry it in certain areas. You don't want to end up in a place you can't carry it in courtrooms. You don't want to end up in a place that you can't carry this because you had a misconception of what. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Leave the damn gun in the car if you're going into the courthouse to get your tag. I don't care about that. But the fact is, and at some point, if I decide to get it, I would get it. But that's the whole premise of it. And I don't mean to rant. And look, I'm not one of these crazy people that think that there's not crazy people out there that'll do things and that they should be stopped. But who are you as a neighbor to tell someone else that you're going to take their firearms away because whatever reason? Maybe you had a land dispute. That happens all the time. Maybe you didn't agree with the easement that was coming over your property, and you've taken them back to court. Now, I know most of the judges up there, and they're very level-headed people. But still, it's hard you don't want ex parte communications when it concerns rights. Constitutional rights. There's a reason why you don't want that. And I'll say it again. It's like someone coming to your house or the police coming to your house and saying, turn around, Mr. Graham. We need to put this duct tape over your mouth. The court has ordered that you keep your fucking mouth shut for the next 48 hours because you've said some stuff that people don't like, and we're taking your constitutional First Amendment right away until you see the judge. It's that equivalent. Not that big tech's not already doing that. But I'm just saying, folks, keep alive. You protect your constitutional rights. And I'm even for free speech. I hate like that video with, the rapper banging Satan. Fucking disgusting. Make you want to hurl. Hey, but it's still available for kids on YouTube. But all this is going to come to an end at some point. You can only ride the tiger for so long until it turns around and bites your head off. So my warning is to big tech. Your days are numbered when it comes to this. It takes the law, and I've noticed this, and I've witnessed this throughout the years of my life. It takes the law just a little bit of time to catch up. Whatever genius that put, that you could remove constitutionally protected speech in 1996 in that 230 statute, I have no idea. But that's probably fixing is going to change in a big way. But I'm not talking about 230. I'm talking about red flag laws. You don't want them. They're unconstitutional. They're going to be deemed unconstitutional when they get scrutinized in the court system. And any judge worth his salt would never issue one of those orders. And that's my 2 cents. Folks, if you disagree, if you agree, put it down in the comments. I don't delete comments, so whatever you put down there will not be deleted. I will not censor them. Even if you don't like what I say, I think you have the right to say it. Nothing like, reading some of the comments, and a lot of them I don't agree with. But, hey, you know what? It's not all about me, is it? It's about your individual rights to say whatever the hell it is you want to say. And if you don't like me or what I say or what my message is, you have the right to say it. So, God bless you all. And subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And like the video if you like it. And I'll see you guys on the next video. And thanks for watching. I do appreciate it because I love doing these shows. I don't make nothing off of them, but I love doing them. So, bye-bye.